All right, welcome back. We're going to move on to the next part of our Swift learning. I'm going to open up my sidebar and create a new page called operators. So press edit, press plus, type operators, and tap on it to enter. Actually, no, you can't do that. You need to tap done first, and then you can tap on operators to enter. So what are operators? Well, it's just basic arithmetic, right? So you're going to see me do some very basic arithmetic, and I'm going to be pressing the run my code button a lot, which means that I'm going to tell you about the keyboard shortcut. Run my code. If you're using a keyboard, you can just use Command R. So let's do some basic arithmetic. Let's make our iPad into a gigantic calculator. Let sum equals to 1 plus 1. Very nice. If I press Command R, it's going to calculate this for me. And 1 plus 1 is, unsurprisingly, 2. Great. Let difference equals to 5 minus 1. If I run this, 5 minus 1, mental calculation, think. Think. All right, there we go. And we get, what is it? What could it be? It's 4. All right, that's great. Let other difference equals to 10 minus sum. So what's happening here? It's taking whatever sum was, which is 2, and putting it inside here. Again, if you've done algebra, all these concepts should be fairly familiar to you. 10 minus 2 is 8. So it takes that on the right-hand side and stores it in the left-hand side as 8. So if I press run, you're going to see this pop up over here, and diff is 8. Okay. How about multiplying and dividing? Well, I'm going to type a comment here. This is multiplying. Multiplying is using the asterisk. So let A equals to 10. Let B equals to 20. Then let product equals to A times B, right? So in this case, if I press run my code, it's going to calculate product for me, and that's 200. Okay. / is divide. Okay, so this comment is a little bit confusing, but these two slashes are to make a comment, and this / is to talk about division. So let division equals to B/A, right? Let's run that. I think that should give us what we expect. B/A is indeed 2. And let's do the other way around. Let div 2 equals to A/B. If you run that, what do we get? Surely we get half, right? So let's take a look. And no, we get 0. What? My primary school math teacher would like to have a word with you. Why is 10 divided by 20 0? Hang in there. Swift actually is doing integer division. Remember types? A is an integer type. B is an integer type. Therefore, anything that they do with one another results in an integer. Okay, so B divided by A is perfectly fine. 20 divided by 10 is 2. That's an integer. A divided by B, what Swift does is it takes 10. Well, it kind of knows what 10 means. It knows that when you take 10 and divide by 20, you're going to get 0.5. But it needs to take this value and store it into yet another integer. What happens when you try and store 0.5 into an integer? You get 0. That's it. Okay. How can you fix this? Well, you could fix it by changing them to doubles. But remember, you have to change both of them to doubles. See what happens when I change B to 20.0? Swift is all like, what? I can't do that. I cannot, in principle, take a double and divide it by an integer. And then here you are going, what? It's just taking 20.0 divided by 10. And Swift is like, no. So you have to make both of them into doubles. And things should work perfectly fine from there. Okay, so that's kind of weird, but that's just the way Swift works. Let's go tap on this to make sure we actually get 0.5. Okay. However, you might end up in a situation where you receive integers from somewhere else. Okay. I'm not sure when in life you receive integers from somewhere else. That sounds very strange now that I talk about it. But how can you actually try and get 0.5? Is there a way that you can divide two integers and store them into a double? Kind of, yes. So here's what you can do. Over here, I can actually cast A and B into doubles just for the sake of this division. Right? So let's do that. So double bracket A divided by double bracket B. Okay? So if I do this, Swift is perfectly fine with it because I'm taking two doubles and dividing them by one another. And it can infer that div2 should now be a double. Okay, so let's just test it real quick. Right, there you go. So div2 is a double, but A and B are still integers. Right, so that's the useful thing about casting. Right, temporary changing of your types. Okay, there's a couple more operators I want to show you. Here's something you can do with pies, right? So it's modulo. So, hey, modulo. I didn't spell that wrong, Swift. So what you might have is a situation where you have a whole bunch of pies. Let pies equals to 21. Pies. And then you have a whole bunch of people. Let people equals to 5. How many pies does each person get? Well, that's easy enough. You just take pies per person equals to pies divided by people. Right? And this is a case where integer division actually comes in pretty handy, because what that lets you do is 21 divided by 5, right? No remainder, will actually give you 4. That's very nice. How many pies are left over? Well, there's an operator for that. Pies left over that I will eat equals to pies modulo people. Okay, so that takes 21 divided by 5 and stores the remainder inside this awfully long variable name, but also very descriptive because I will eat any leftover pies if people don't want them. Okay, last thing is order of operations. If I just do order 1 equals to 5 plus 2 times 3, that should be easy enough. You know that 2 times 3 happens first, which is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. If I run it, Swift does exactly what you'd expect, and you get 11. If, however, you want things to work in a certain order, you might do brackets. 5 plus 2 times 3. If you run it, you're going to get 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21. If only I remembered to press my run button. All right, there you go.